Today we will look at one of England's most reviled kings. But why? And what hidden secrets did he have? This is King Henry III. Henry came to the throne in controversial circumstances. His father, King John, died unexpectedly in October 1216. There were rumors that Queen Isabella had poisoned her husband, but this has never been proved. Some historians claim she was innocent, while others say she was guilty. Either way, her son Henry was only 9 years old when he inherited the throne. Henry's mother and his younger brother, Richard, ruled in his place until he was old enough to rule. But by the age of 18, Henry was ready to take control. He married Eleanor of Castile, who was 16, and together they had a son when she was only 17. Their son, also called Henry, sadly died in infancy. But this didn't stop the young king from making plans for his future. He wanted to be remembered as a great medieval monarch like his grandfather, King Henry II. To achieve this, he needed to get rid of his reputation for being weak and indecisive. He started to assert his authority over the English barons who had rebelled against his father and forced him to sign the Magna Carta. He began to make changes to the government and the way the country was run. But many of the barons didn't like these changes, and they started to plan to get rid of the young king. They invited Louis VIII, the French king, to invade England and depose Henry. With the help of the French, the barons seized key parts of London and forced Henry to escape to safety in Normandy. The English people were horrified by the sight of the French riding through their streets. This made them rally behind their king and fight back against the invaders. But when the English and French armies met on the battlefield, the English were defeated. Henry had to escape again, this time to Paris. Henry's counselors told him that if he wanted to save his kingdom, he had to make peace with the barons. Against his better judgment, he agreed to meet with them and discuss their grievances. While Henry was meeting with the barons, his counselors fled the city and took the royal treasure with them. When Henry found out, he was furious and threw the man out. He then returned to London to find it deserted. The people had fled and the barons had taken everything with them. Henry now had no choice but to flee to Normandy. While in exile, Henry heard that the people of England were starting to turn against the barons. The French king was unpopular because he had raised taxes to pay for his soldiers. The barons had hoped that the French would come to their rescue, but it seemed that wasn't going to happen. Louis VIII wanted to keep the throne for himself and make England a part of France. But before he could do anything, he fell ill and died. This meant that Henry could finally return to England. The people were so happy to see him that they crowned him again in Canterbury Cathedral. Now that Henry was back in power, he wasted no time in punishing the barons who had betrayed him. He took away their lands and titles and gave them 2 more loyal subjects. He also introduced new taxes to pay for the damage that the barons had caused. As the years passed, Henry became more and more powerful. He fought against the Welsh and the Scots and took control of Ireland. He also built a magnificent palace at Westminster and started to repair his reputation as a weak king. But not everyone was happy with Henry's reign. Many people thought that he was a tyrant and that he had become just like his father. There are 2 possible explanations for why Henry is such a hated king. The first is that he was too ambitious and tried to do too much. He took on too many enemies and raised too many taxes. The second reason is that he was too ruthless and didn't even care about the rights of his people. He was willing to do whatever it took to stay in power, even if it meant betraying the people who had elected him. What do you think? Was Henry III a great king or a terrible tyrant? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and click on the bell icon if you want to learn more about amazing history.